Good morning, good day. This is Terry McLean, and I am happy to be here with Tisa Saudi. I'm here virtually, and I am recording this in order to share with you, some ideas that I have gleaned over the last 20-some years of teaching online. And I would love to be able to be here physically. I think that it would be a wonderful time for me. Unfortunately, I'm here. So I'm actually in North Carolina today and in the US, and it's a beautiful day, not too hot, not too cold. The leaves are getting ready to turn. So, all right, as I said before, my name is Terry McLean, and I'm the head tutor at Bridge Education Group. I am also an IDELT instructor, and you know, education, you have all kinds of acronyms, right? And so IDELT stands for the International Diploma for English Language Teaching, which essentially means that I train teachers to teach English to non-native speakers. Let's see, I'm trying to think what else. I've been in education for a very long time. I have taught linguistics, literature, composition, ESL, EFL, and ESP. So the last three are English as a second language, English as a foreign language, and English for specific purposes in the workplace usually. So I've been a little bit busy, but my heart always goes back to the ESL and the ESL training of teachers because I enjoy it immensely, immensely. So it's always a chance for me to learn a little bit too from my students. So I was going to just mention a little bit about Bridge. Bridge Education Group has been around for over 35 years. And in that 35 years, we have certified over 45,000 teachers to teach English around the world. And as you can see here, our mission statement. And our goal is to ensure that the teachers that come from this program are competent and confident in their ability to work with non-native speakers of all levels. Okay, these are our certifying agencies. This is where we receive our certification from. I just went ahead and tucked those in there in case you wanted to see. In addition, the first two, the first and last, ASSET and ACE, are North American, but Aqueduto is an international certification. So, okay, today's presentation has a wide range of topics, and there will be some repetition because there's an overlap, but it's basically gleaning how to work with students online. And it's important because, as you know, students have been moving to online not only because of the year of the COVID, but because of the accessibility and affordability often of being able to learn English online. So when I began teaching English online in 1999, it was pretty crude, no bells and whistles. Basically, I could speak to students and they could speak to me, and we had a little chat box. But we spent a lot of time being disconnected because the infrastructure was not in place. Unlike now where we have this live, well, semi-live, as in I can see you, well, you can see me, I can't see you right now. But you can see me and I can share my screen and I can record this and all those other wonderful things. So it's come a long way in just 20 years. Okay, so from my perspective as an online teacher and what I have gleaned from my colleagues over the years, we have decided that one of the #1 factors in successful online teaching for students to help them reach their goals is visibility. They have to be able to know that you are on the other end. And I had a student once ask me if I was a real teacher. I mean, if I was a real person, not a real teacher, but a real person. And I said, well, of course. But it was because they thought perhaps it was an automated bot type thing that was answering their questions. And so it's very important that we work with them and we let them know that we are real people and that we are here to help them, especially when it's asynchronous and they really are only dealing with our words on the screen. But it's helpful for them to know that there's a face and a voice behind this. And so one of the first things we want to do is, how do we make ourselves visible, right? Well, I do a couple of things in my classes online. And one of the first things I do is I create a little video, just pretty much what you see here. And I talk about my professional background, and I talk a little bit about me and my personal background in order for them to understand that I am a real person and that I have, children and a little farm and all of those things. But in addition, I also provide them a talk through of the course itself, because many of the students who come to us are new. And because they are new, they are not really well prepared, new to online learning, I should say. And so they're a little bit nervous and anxious about being there. And I understand. The very first online class I took years ago at City University in New York, I checked in 30 times a week easily because I was so afraid that I would miss something, because I was so nervous about being online and not getting, immediate feedback about what I was doing. In a face-to-face class, when the student talks, we answer. But in the asynchronous online, there may be a lag of sometimes several minutes, but often several hours before they get responses. So the walk through the course, as I talk them through it, shows them how to navigate and what to do, where to find their grades, how to send me a message, how to chat with their peers in a like a break room type situation, where to find the glossary and other resources. And so it helps them feel a little more comfortable with the whole navigation. And I use a screen capture app for that. To improve visibility, we also want to be actively working in the classroom. And a lot of online classes have discussion boards when they're meeting asynchronously. I have to get that word right. When they're meeting asynchronously. And so participating in the discussion is paramount for success. And, they need feedback, of course, to know that they are moving in the right direction on their responses. But in addition, we need to be very inclusive in that we say to the students, oh, and refer them to another peer. Like perhaps I saw Melanie's post on working with young children and writing, and I see that she has some similar ideas to yours. Maybe you would like to look at her post. And so I direct them to one another also in the discussion board, or I put a link in Paulo's post about classroom management. Maybe you would like to look at that to get some more ideas, so that they move around the room, the virtual room, the discussion board, and get to know one another and share those ideas. Discussion board is so very important because it is an information exchange. I mean, especially in asynchronous classes and classes where you have English learners or teachers who want to be English teachers, you have a variety of experience, a multicultural opportunity to learn a lot about one another. And so discussion board is the heartbeat of the asynchronous online class. And that's why it's important that we participate. And there are many ways to do it, many. And then the last idea here that I have is thank them for their assistance. And I don't know why, but I have always thanked my students for being in class, for working hard. And I think that it's a small thing, but it means a lot to me to let them know that I'm very happy that they have joined us. I'm sorry, I have an eyelash falling into my eye. And so I think it's important. It's a small thing, and it's something that I do. I always call my students by name also in their discussion. And I will say hello or good evening or hi, just to let them know that this is personalized feedback for them. Another goal or another consideration is the approachability. And approachability is something, it's a tone that we have when we speak to our students. It's the way we type to them, we write to them, which is why I greet them and I thank them. And I share my experiences with them about what have done well in teaching and where I have made mistakes. One of my big newbie mistakes I told them was I rushed through my lesson plans for my ESL students. And when I did that, I would find that they were not really learning as much as I had wanted them to. So I stood back and reflected on my lessons, and then I changed them to make them deeper on the content, but with not as many activities, so we didn't have to rush through. The other thing too to remember is that they need ways to talk to you, ways to get to us, you know, whether it be message or Skype, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. The other thing is we have to model what we expect from our students. If we want them to use citations, we have to show them what it looks like to use citations. We need to model good online netiquette, right? Being polite, using appropriate word choices, to walk that thin line between being friendly but also academic so that the students will do the same thing. So, but we need to break through that virtual wall that sometimes they feel like is there. So we need to be very careful with that, right? And one way to improve our approachability is to make ourselves relatable. And there are a lot of different ways to do this. One of them is, I apologize, is in the bio, where I tell them a little bit about myself. I'm a beekeeper. I have goats and chickens and dogs and cats, and now I have ducks. And I tell them a little bit about that and how much I enjoy working outside. I tell them what I'm reading right now. I tell them about different hobbies I have so that they can relate, okay? But in addition to approachability, remember I said we'll talk a little bit about communication. Give them more than one way to contact you, whether it be email or Skype or WhatsApp, or what's the other, WeChat, I forgot about that one. And I give out my phone number. I ask them not to call me, but to text me. And that works for students within the same country. International students, I prefer that they just go ahead and Skype me. I keep my Skype on when I'm working, and I can check a Skype message really quickly if they want to send me a little ping. But that gives them that opportunity to talk to us as much as they feel they need to feel comfortable in what they're doing, because the student who is relaxed will learn better, right? We know this. But now the important part of this is to make sure we set boundaries. I've had other teachers say, why would you give out your phone number? You know, they'll call you at all times. No, they do not, because I have set those boundaries. The other thing is for improving approachability is to tell them a little bit about you, right? I said that in my bio. I put a bio out with every class I teach. And the other thing we can do is we can share anecdotes in the discussion board, or if you're face-to-face online, you know, just say, when I was teaching at the high school and teaching English as a second language, I found that the students were, right? Or when I taught adults at the college, many of the adults came to class late, so what I did was, and we give them these ideas so that they understand that we have walked the road that they are currently walking when it comes to teaching. And something I think is very important is to rev up that passion. Many teachers who want to teach English as another language or as a second language are very excited about it. They're passionate, but I think sometimes they feel a little hesitant to share that passion. And I think that it's fine for us to go ahead and say, you know, I love what I do. And it's true, I do love teaching English. But it's because I'm a little bit selfish, because I learn from my students. I learn so much from my students, and I hope and I think that they learn from me also, because at the end of the term, they are moving forward. So, and this is something a little bit different. Instead of having a narrative, a written text narrative, it's also possible to put out a little infographic, and they're kind of fun to read. You can have a picture. I need to update my picture, I guess. A picture and some little ideas, you know, just to draw their eye toward the important things that you would like them to know about you. So. Another way to communicate is with the instructor news feed. I put out an announcement every week. Actually, I put out several announcements every week in the IDOUbt class that I teach. And I do that so that the students, again, know that I'm paying attention, that I'm out there. If something goes wrong, which occasionally happens, I let them know that there's a technical issue and I will be, you know, on it and take care of it as soon as possible. I send them little article summaries that I find and the links to the articles, just all kinds of things that might be interesting to them. And now I have a setup where I can actually send a group message out to the class. And so I'll do that too. I'll send them little tidbits. And sometimes I'll just say, I'm having a wonderful day. I hope you are too. It's just a way of talking to them. So I'm going to move over to the content area just for one moment. And Remember I said in 1999 we had a voice, a chat box, and nothing else. But now, through the wonders of technology that continue to grow, we have interactive quizzes, we have music, we can share music and films and video clips and podcasts and all kinds of things. We can put them together in groups online and let them work together to collaborate on some kind of task, some kind of task-based project. And also, and not all classes do this, but some do, and I do in my IDELT class, we have synchronous sessions 4 times a term where we get together and we talk about their concerns, anything they want to know about what we've covered so far, looking down the road at other lessons, things like that. And we do that through Zoom, and it's an opportunity for us to share, to connect, basically, more than share, to connect with one another. And it's as I told them, now I have a face and a voice to go with the words that I read in the discussion board, and it's great. Google Docs, of course, Quizlet, these are all ways that we can provide students with content and they can get interactive, immediate corrections, like the little mini quizzes. Sure, if you want to ensure that they understand a concept before you move forward, a mini quiz will do it, or a Quizlet, and they'll get that immediate feedback and they know where they stand and what they're doing. Not always does it work like this. Sometimes we have to give correction, right? Always. And so the basic axiom, I guess, for correction is to be affirmative. We want to tell students what they do well. That's important. In addition to that, we want them to know where they need to improve. Everybody can improve. Nobody is perfect. We're all works in progress. This is what I tell them. And I am also a work in progress. I continually try to hone my craft as a teacher to become better. But for students, what we need to do is to try and differentiate feedback. We don't want to just blanket stamp it and say, okay, great job on that narrative, move on. But to provide them with personalized comments and to give them a chance to actually look and reflect on this feedback and know that they are moving in the right direction, or that they need to review or go back or ask for help or use some supplemental information. So a lot of different ways to do it. My favorite way, well, one of my favorite ways, is to use, again, the screen capture Screencast-O-Matic. And it's a great app, and I like to use it because when students send a paper to me, I can write on the paper and then I can talk about what I've written on the paper and basically hone in or show them where they can work on this, and so that they can understand it a little better. So we want to identify their strengths and weaknesses, call them by name. Hello, Michelle. You've done this very well, but I see that you missed the point about how to something, right? We can use a PowerPoint and links to provide them with additional resources so that they can supplement their learning to strengthen their ideas and their concepts. So I created basically a bank of links and resources for different errors that I see with students. And that includes grammar, writing errors. So always praise. A teacher once told me, public praise, private correction, because what that does for the students is it allows them to be valued in the classroom as a participant who has contributed to the overall collective knowledge of the students, right? Shout outs in the announcements. If you have a chance, go look at Paulo's post on classroom management rules. It was posted last week on September 6th, and it's great. It has some really good ideas for working with adults. Those type of shout outs. And I do think that if we do a shout out for one student over the term, we should try to find something that all students, so everybody will have their name highlighted for a moment. I think it's very important. I think it makes them feel as a member of the learning community. So, and who doesn't like to be praised, right? So now if a student has inappropriate behavior or is struggling to work in the classroom, of course we would do that privately. We could send them an email or even schedule a Skype meeting or something like that in order to talk it over, to make sure that the student moves ahead. So even with our best efforts, sometimes students struggle to stay in class. And this is one of my personal research interests, is persistence and retention. How do we get them to the end of the class? And this year has been particularly trying for many people because a lot of people had to move online to discard their plans, lost their jobs, people were sick. Sometimes they're not as prepared for the class as they should be. And so they struggle a little bit, and sometimes the struggle, when coupled with competing priorities outside of class, can create a situation that says, I'm done, I can't do this, I can't do this. And so they leave. And I think there are things that we can do to help them stay, but we have to be able to be in tune with the students in order to know that there's been a change. Maybe instead of posting the entire expectation for discussion this week, they only posted one post, and this is the time when we give them feedback and we say, I'm worried, I'm concerned, are you okay? Is there something I can do to help? And sometimes they'll say, oh, I was just sick, I didn't feel well, or I had to work extra and I couldn't get finished. And that's fine, because at least they know that we noticed that they were not working and that we're concerned, right? And then sometimes students have trouble managing their time. And a long time ago when I was a child, my father said, the way you tackle any big project is like you eat an elephant, which at the time sounded silly to me. And I think that's why he said it, because it's stuck with me all these years, is when you eat an elephant, you have to eat it one bite at a time. Now, of course, he meant that figuratively, but it's the same idea. When students have a task that seems overwhelming to them, they have to take it one step at a time. Sometimes we have to show them how to take it one step at a time. We have to break it down for them and say, okay, after this, do this, then this. And what it will do is help them get to the end of that project. So, and basically what I said before is, we have to connect with the students. If they're not doing well in class, we need to help them the best we can. And one is we can remind them of their strengths, because sometimes when one thing goes wrong, a person will feel defeated and nothing is going well. And they don't have the immediate feedback from a teacher to say, oh, you're doing a fine job. Don't worry, this was just a setback. So what we have to do is we have to remind them that it's going to be okay and that they are already doing well, that they just had a minor step, and it's not going to create havoc with them, and that they should keep going, and that, we are here. I am here to help you. That's my job. So, and all of these things, when they're put together, create something called a learning community. In learning communities, just like professional learning communities among teachers, is a helpful way for students to support and encourage one another. It becomes the classroom becomes a place where it's positive, there's positivity, and students all move in the same direction. And when one falters, others will step in. And they interact and they collaborate with one another, and it just makes a huge difference in retention. Students do much better when they have that opportunity. Okay, and this is just a little definition of a learning community. But this, I think, is important because it connects the 4 factors that are important, And you can have a learning community with just a teacher and a student. If you're doing one-on-one tutoring online, you can still have a learning community, right? But it has to do with everything that I've talked about before this moment. All those things, approachability and praise and affirmative correction, all of those things, communication, all provide a learning community. They all contribute to the same thing. So, and this is the important part. And just to kind of summarize, right? This is a summary. Our goal is to build students with a can-do attitude, otherwise known as agency, right? We improve student agency with the learning community. They feel empowered to work, to take learning risks. They feel empowered to contribute and to help others. This is what a learning community can do. And for us to make that work, these are the things that we can do. Everything I just talked about a few minutes ago. So it works. Okay. Never underestimate the power of a teacher. I think when we reflect back on teachers that we have had some wonderful teachers, and we've had some teachers that were, you know, I'm glad I'm out of that class. But we are, good, bad, we are the cornerstones of learning. And we can create positive learning environments, or we can create toxic learning environments, right? So, of course, we want positive learning environments, right? I have had toxic teachers, and I'm sure some people have. But the important part is that a teacher who is committed to the learning of their students will find that the students will gravitate and even rise up to meet the challenges of learning English when we provide that genuine, respectful voice to them, that we are visible and they know that we are there to help. And this is where technology comes in. Technology in the online class is wonderful now, and it will probably continue to improve, but I'm just, having watched its growth for 20 years, I'm just amazed. It's like magic to me to see some of the things that we can do. But we are the person teaching. It's not the apps. It's not all those wonderful things, right? Okay, great. All right, and I just have some things here. There are a lot of skills to teach online. Tone is just one of them. Bridge has several English online programs, practicums for people who've not done it. And currently, we do offer a promotion for people who wish to take any of the Teaching English Online programs. Excuse me. And it's just an opportunity that may or may not be something you're interested in, but you can use this at this point, and it's good for a month or so. And yes, yeah. The programs for teaching the advanced methods and the foundations, both are theory and research-based. They are theoretical foundations with research-based applications on how to connect with students online of all ages, okay? Okay. And then we have the Bridge community. We can be found on several social media. I got it right the first time. So feel free to join us. Check it out on Facebook. We're there. All right. We have a network of over 100,000 English language teachers. So you can come in and join our professional learning community and share your ideas or even pick up a few new ones. All right. Okay. If you have any questions, you can contact Kevin, and it will be an opportunity for you to, ask different questions about the courses, about this PowerPoint presentation, or, anything that you think we can help with. Please feel free to contact us. All right. I want to go ahead and flash my bibliography, but I'm going to go back to the questions. And although I cannot take questions today because we're ending, I do want to thank you. Excuse me. Thank you for your patience with my virtual presentation. It's not quite the same. I'm so accustomed to looking for questions in the chat, but that's okay. I want to thank you, and I wish all of you safety first, because it's been a very trying year for everyone. So stay safe, stay happy, and for those of you who are teaching, enjoy your students. It's a wonderful opportunity. Okay, bye-bye.